Skiing in slushy snow conditions is one of the most fun things that we can do in the mountains. It's soft, slidey, it's forgiving, and it is so much fun. But for beginner and intermediate skiers, slush can be difficult. It can be frustrating and it can be dangerous. So the goal of this video is to give you the info that you need to survive and to enjoy your time skiing in slushy snow conditions. We get slushy snow conditions whenever the temperatures warm up a little bit. And given that we live in a warming world and that there are millions of people who go skiing every year, there's a pretty wide demand for tips on how to make the most of skiing in slushy snow conditions. So I'm currently based in the European Alps, where we get huge amounts of snow and massive fluctuations in temperature. So I absolutely love skiing in slushy conditions, and fortunately I get to do an awful lot of it. So here are my top 5 tips for skiing in slushy snow conditions. Before we get right into it, I just want to answer many of you who have messaged and commented asking where I film these videos, and the answer is Avoriaz. This is the highest altitude resort in the enormous Porte du Soleil ski area, which straddles both France and Switzerland. Thanks to the prevailing direction of incoming storms, we get more than our fair share of snowfall, which allows us to ski well into the spring, and this is when we can sometimes get those awesome slushy snow conditions. So let's get right into these top 5 tips. So firstly, we're going to think about equipment. Now understand that a wider, straighter ski is going to be a bit easier to surf on top of the slush, whereas a ski which is narrower with a more pronounced side cut is going to slice through the snow a bit more like a cheese wire. So if you've got an option, then a slightly wider, straighter ski is going to be a bit easier in the slush. And secondly, waxing your skis is going to really help in slushy snow conditions. Sometimes it can be really sticky and slow, so having a waxed ski is going to help, especially if you can get a wax which is suited to warmer snow conditions. Tip number 2 is to make a plan. Firstly, pay attention to slope aspect. East-facing slopes will get the sun in the morning, and west-facing slopes will get the sun in the afternoon. South-facing slopes will get the sun most of the day, and the north-facing slopes will be the most shaded. You can use tools like FatMap, which is being integrated into Strava, to check slope aspects and then plan your day accordingly. For example, you might want to ski the south-facing slopes at the beginning of the day before they get too slushy, and then you can move around to the more westerly aspects as the day goes on. Secondly, you can also work your way up a mountain. Skiing the warmer, lower altitude slopes earlier in the day and the cooler, higher altitude slopes later can help you to ski the slush when it is preferable and avoid it when it becomes too deep and gluey. And thirdly, you can cool it early. Skiing with tired legs to the bitter end of a warm, slushy day is a good recipe for accidents, so don't forget you can cool it early and make the most of those sunny spring good times at après-ski. Now, the third thing we can do to enjoy slushy snow conditions is to adopt a more sporty posture. One of the reasons why intermediate skiers struggle with slushy conditions is because they have what I refer to as a recreational posture. This is a little bit more upright, a little bit more balanced on the heels, a little bit more cruisy, and you might get away with this on an easy blue run with groomed snow. But as soon as you've got variable snow conditions, whether that be slush or bumps or icy conditions or anything that's more challenging, that recreational posture is vulnerable to being knocked off balance and we can easily lose control. So in order to deal with slushy conditions, we need to adopt a more sporty posture where we've got a little bit more suspension in our legs, we're flexing our ankles, knees and hips, driving those shins forwards into the boots and keeping our hands in front of us. A low, stable position is going to make us more stable and we're going to be able to deal with surprises, whereas an upright, recreational posture, we're going to be vulnerable to being knocked off balance. Tip number 4 is to master the hockey stop and test your brakes. If you have a strong ability to slow down and stop suddenly, this opens up the door to faster and more fun skiing in tricky conditions. So work on your hockey stop, demonstrating a stable, stacked posture like this, and you will increase your safety and ability to control higher speeds. This is also going to help you to spray snow around and have a lot of extra fun. And tip number 5 is to look ahead and choose where to make your next turn. As with any snow conditions that are not perfectly groomed, we're not just making left, right, left, right, left, right. We're looking ahead and choosing favorable places to make our next turn. So, when you're looking ahead in bumpy, slushy snow conditions and trying to choose favourable places to make your next turn, there are a few different tactics that you might want to use. Sometimes you can turn between the piles of slush where the snow is a bit firmer and more predictable. Sometimes you can kind of hockey stop into the slush piles, using them as speed bumps to help you slow down. And then sometimes the best tactic might be to straight line over some of the worst piles of slush and make your turn in the smoother snow below. There's more information on tactics of where to make your turns in bumpy conditions in the mogul skiing tutorial. And a quick bonus tip is simply to be honest with yourself about your limits. Are you strong, sporty, and warmed up? Or are you tired, injury prone, and dehydrated? It's possible for all sorts of people to enjoy skiing, but the fitter you are, the easier it is going to be. So be honest with yourself and be aware that soft snow isn't going to help you to avoid twisting injuries. So take it easy, enjoy the view, and look after yourself. So there you have a bunch of tips on how to manage and enjoy slushy snow conditions. I hope you found it useful, and I wish you good times on skis.